Hello, everyone, and welcome to Perspectives, the home edition. Yeah, we're also under mandates to kind of do it from home, like a lot of other folks across the country, with the pandemic taking a toll. So I'll be coming to you from here, but I got to promise you, I never leave home without a mask in at least in my shirt pocket. And you're going to hear me talking more about that as the days go by. Our first guest on this show today is Todd Enlow. Todd is the Chief of Staff for the Cherokee Nation. And Todd, it's good to have you here, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having us.
What's the weather like in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm thankful that it's a little bit cooler for the last couple of days. I will definitely take that, given our temperatures over the last couple of months. It's pretty refreshing. So it's been a great start to the day.
How hard has the coronavirus impacted the tribe?
Well, it's been kind of frustrating, to say the least. It's challenging in the first weeks of the virus being present in Oklahoma. I don't know if you recall, but the first death in the state of Oklahoma due to COVID-19 was a Cherokee Nation tribal citizen.
Right.
And weeks after that, one of my coworkers that actually works here in the office about 10 feet from me, we sent her home due to age. And then shortly thereafter, 3 or 4 days later, she contracted the virus and she passed about 2 weeks later. So, we've had setbacks with employees and friends that have been on ventilators for more than 30 days. We had that loss. Our numbers are continuing to increase across our healthcare system now. And we just lost a valuable citizen and community leader, speaker in the Bellefonte community just a few days ago. And so, it's affecting us just as it is across the state and across the country. And well, I think we were a little insulated initially, but we're starting to see our numbers increase, and it's a little concerning to us.
Todd, is there a mask mandate underway?
Yes, actually, Chief Hoskins signed an executive order sometime in May. We actually suspended our operations for everything that was non-essential, so things short of public safety, healthcare, and food security. We suspended our operations and went virtual in mid-May or March. Sorry, went virtual in mid-March. And then as we got ready to begin to resume operations at the government, we instituted a mask mandate. It's been in place since then. So sometime in late May, just before our official opening, June 1st, is when we've had a mask mandate in place. And that applies to all Cherokee Nation properties owned, leased, or operated, including all of the casinos and museums and other locations that we have.
I would assume the social distancing is also playing a factor, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Actually, when we brought back our teams, we had a 5-phase approach to our return. We're actually still in phase 2 and continued the phase 2 operation since essentially June 1st. And that is designed so that we keep our head count down. So we sent those 65 and older home, and they've remained at home either working or on administrative leave if they're unable to perform their job from their house. And then those with underlying health conditions, those that are on immunosuppressive medications, those that have diabetes, hypertension, those identified by CDC as high risk factors, they remain at home as well. And then of that remaining employee base, we only have 50% of that remaining workforce report on a daily basis. So we have alternating schedules. So our head count is greatly reduced. On a daily basis, we operate somewhere around 35% of our normal workforce inside of each of our operations.
Todd, I know that you have a large number of elderly citizens in the tribe. Are you able to help them in terms of food or whatever they need so that they don't have to get out?
Yes. In March, we realized that food security was going to be a long-term challenge for all citizens, but in particular our elders. And we also, if you recall, early in the pandemic, there were challenges associated with access to toilet paper, paper towels, and those commodities that are not food related, but they were in very short supply. So we began an initiative, spend our own tribal dollars to secure food from commercial food suppliers, and we repackaged those and began sending out boxes to our communities. And that has morphed and changed over the months. We still continue food operations. Right now, we're partnering with USDA's Food Box program to supply produce, dairy boxes to citizens around the 14 counties. And we do, with some of our coronavirus relief dollars, we have secured 2 refrigerated trucks so that we can take this fresh produce and make sure that we maintain temperature control and make sure the food is safe. So that's something that we've added recently. But yeah, we continue to operate that and focus on our elders. In addition to that, our application closes today at midnight for our elders. So far, we have about 20, signed up for assistance. And so any Cherokee Nation elder over the age of 62 is eligible for a $400 stipend to help with cleaning supplies, PPE, those resources that they might need to help protect themselves, in addition to the food security things that have been going on. And then those that are income eligible that live inside the 14 county jurisdiction, we have some utility assistance for those that are maybe having to spend their normal fixed limited income on supplies. And so we're providing some utility assistance for those that may need assistance as well.
Pretty much all hands on deck.
Yes. Yeah. We've tried to think about every option that we can to try and help those that are being impacted by the virus and make sure that we fill the gaps if there are any.
Todd, there's an old saying, and I think it comes out of Africa, that when an old one dies, a library burns. And most certainly a library, possibly 2, were destroyed recently with the death of Durbin Feeling. I was so sorry to hear of his passing. And this is a man that would pass on both the old and the new ways and would help so many people, was so incredibly patient, but he was intensely knowledgeable. How are you going to fill that void?
Well, it was a tremendous loss for us. And I shared a couple of stories. The first time I ever met Durbin, I had only worked at Cherokee Nation for a year or 2. And they said, hey, you need to go down and meet this guy and get some material from him. And I went to what is now a museum, but it was functioning as an office, and it was the Cherokee National Prison. Mm-hmm. And I walked in there, and there sat a meek, mild man in one of our former jail cells, and that was his office. And so literally his office was behind bars in that prison, and not a single complaint. And Durbin was there, I remember, with a Mac computer working on translation and embedding the syllabary into that technology. And that was in the early 90s. And Durbin had been working on volumes and volumes of ideas and concepts and translations going all the way back into the late 60s, early 70s. And we're just now starting to scratch the surface of some of the plans and concepts that he had in place. And so a lot of the things that we're beginning to introduce now had in his mind 20, 30 years ago or more.
Not at
And
all surprising.
yeah,
Not at all. I was introduced to him by a former chief swimmer many years back. And then later, I was down there working on a project, and the project would take me through many roads within the nation. And later, when Wilma became chief, he and I had a chance to talk a couple of times. I was struck by the gentleness of this man, and yet he was such a powerful and knowledgeable source. Gosh, I think everybody that ever crossed paths with him will miss him. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a break a little bit early, because when we come back, I want to talk with you about several things with the tribe, your outreach program. We've talked already about your pantries, but we may mention that again. And we'll be back with more from Todd Enlow with Cherokee Nation right after this.